begin today, I'd like to comment on the events from yesterday. As you know, we did experience a bomb threat and evacuated our facilities as a precaution. We have worked closely with the Knoxville Police Department. It is our understanding that they have arrested a KUB employee. That employee has been placed on administrative leave. We will have no further comment at this time. I want to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We see that Sarah Pinnell's not here. Mr. Coley?
Everybody else is present. Yeah, you have a quorum.
The minutes were sent out. If everybody received them, can I ask for a motion and a second?
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're going to start with the board action resolution 1327, amending budget appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2014, and resolution 1328, amending commitment appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2014. After the presentation, each resolution will be voted on separately. Linda.
You said it all, Madam Chair. I'll recognize Jamie Davis.
Good morning, Commissioners. Indeed, presented for your consideration today are resolutions 1327 and 28, which request additional both budget and commitment appropriations for this fiscal year. And before we get started, I want to be sure we're kind of all got a working definition of what those two items are. Budget appropriations are those amounts authorized by this board to cover our expenditures in a given budget year for this fiscal year. And when we have the need to spend beyond that budget, we have to come back to this board to seek additional approval for additional amounts. Now, the flip side of that is commitment authority, which can be a little confusing at times. Commitment authority, those amounts that you approve allow us to enter into contracts this year for amounts to be paid in future periods or after this fiscal year. And so generally that's driven by the type of contracts or the type of projects that are a little bit longer, a little bit larger, and then we kind of need to get going to keep things moving, and sometimes timing drives the need for that. So before your consideration of that resolution, I'd like to review where we think we're going to end this fiscal year and kind of go over the need for those particular requests. So on the screen you'll see where we stand for as we project the end of this fiscal year. You'll notice on the first line, indeed we project to be over budget as it relates to our wholesale energy purchases, a combined approximate $18.3 million. You'll remember just in the very recent future was a very cold winter, colder than normal, and as such, when that occurs, generally we have to purchase more energy and natural gas in order to be able to meet our customer demands, and so that was the case there, driving that overage from our projections. You'll notice on the capital line, again, you've heard in recent months about our capital programs, and those are ongoing and moving ahead, but you'll notice in our natural gas division an overage of approximately $6.1 million. You've also heard about our South Loop project and the projected costs related to that particular project being over budget, and thus what is driving those numbers to be indeed over our projections as well. And then one last item of note would be the line about debt service. If you'll recall back to last year, this fiscal year, this time we had intended to issue debt in the spring. We pulled it into the summer from last year when rates were actually rising. Now they're dropping, but they were rising. As such, moving that debt service forward has indeed accreted a little bit of extra debt service. You can see that approximately $1.2 million across our electric, water, and wastewater divisions. And so that's really what we're here today, what's driving our need for the additional budget appropriations. As you look at what that does to us on the cash side of the house, again, strong winter there driving our above projection as far as sales go in our electric and gas divisions. On the water and wastewater side, we've talked about in previous times about declining consumption, as well as that's driven by missing our growth projections in those particular divisions as well too. Purchased energy I just mentioned. Now, one item of note on sales margin, you might say, well, you had over project, or you did better than what you projected in your electric division, but yet your sales margin is below projection. The reason there is as you may recall, we flow back an over or under recovery depending on the situation through our purchase power adjustment. We have a deferred account. The situation that exists from prior fiscal years, we had an over recovery of purchase power, and as such right now we're flowing back around $4.5 million to our customers. And so absent that sales revenue number for electric would indeed be higher and present a positive sales margin in the electric division. Down on the expenditures line, again, you'll notice the impact of the the south loop there in our gas. So that leads us to a net change in cash of approximately $2.8 million across the 4 divisions. So again, as it relates to budget appropriations, in May of last year, this board approved an $868 million in Resolution 1313. We are here today with Resolution 1327, requesting additional $30.5 million, $15 million for our electric division, $15 million for our gas, and $500,000 for our water division to cover those extra expenditures that I just mentioned. Any questions on the budget appropriation?
Can I ask a question? And the numbers don't look big or anything, but are they in line? Is this an unusually big year? It seems a little bit bigger to me than in the past. But
Based upon where obviously most of the dollars are driven in this situation by the purchased energy, and so really the magnitude of the winter drives that particular situation. So the fact that we budget, and Mr. Walker will talk a little bit about that, about our assumptions and our financial plans in the meeting later, but the fact that we don't budget for a normal weather in that situation, or we budget normal and it was below or above normal in this situation, really drove the magnitude of that.
We budget for natural gas sales and purchases 5% warmer than normal, and the winter was 13% colder than normal, so that 18% swing is a big part of that, in particular in the gas system.
okay.
All right. Switching gears to commitment appropriations, again, those are those amounts that this board approves that allows us to enter into contracts today for expenses in the future. In May of 2014, the board approved 63.8 across all 4 of our operating divisions for commitment appropriations. And again, some change in some projects and the timing of those projects in our electric and water divisions. We're here today to request some additional commitment authority. And again, as I said, timing drives that. And what we would request, and what would be a total for our electric and water divisions, $13.7 million for our electric division, $10.6 million in water in total would be the amounts. And again, you can see some of the projects that are listed here. Some you've heard about in prior months, some that you'll hear about even today as we go over our financial plans. But many of these were in the plan last year, either our amount changed or as we've changed priorities, we would substitute a project. And as you can see, we need to tweak that budget or that commitment authority just a little bit. In Resolution 1314 last year, again, the $63.8 million that was approved. Resolution 1328 today requests an additional $2.2 million for electric, $450,000 for our water division, raising total commitment authority to $66.45 million. And so that's what we're requesting today in that amount. Any questions on that? Okay. So again, Commissioners, for your consideration today is Resolution 1327. I would adopt that additional $30.5 million on the budget appropriation side, $15 million for electric, $15 million for water, $500,000 for, $15 million for electric, $15 million for gas, $500,000 for water, taking the budget from $867.6 million to $898.1. And then finally, Resolution 1328 would adopt an additional $2.65 million in additional commitment authority, $2.2 million for electric, $450,000 for water, taking that total commitment appropriation to $66.5 million. Any questions on that?
Okay, if we don't have any questions, I will request a motion for Resolution 1327 on first and final reading.
So moved.
Mr. Coley, call roll, please.
Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbert?
Aye.
Commissioner Pennell?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Warden?
Aye.
Resolution 1327 is passed.
I want to also request a motion and a second on Resolution 1328 on first and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Is there anyone that wants to speak on this one? Mr. Coley, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamilton?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbert?
Aye.
Commissioner Pennell?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Warden?
Aye.
Resolution 1328 is passed.
Want to recognize Minta? On the President's report.
Commissioners, we're going to start the President's report today with some special guests, and I do not want to steal Ed Medford's thunder because he'll get mad at me if I do. So I will recognize Ed Medford, who is our Manager of Government Relations and Economic Development. He'll introduce our guest.
Thank you, CEO Roach. My honor today to stand before the board and introduce some very special guests from TVA. As you know, TVA continues to be a valued partner assisting with many of KUB's keys to success, including our electric infrastructure, economic development, and environmental initiatives. With that, I'd like to introduce some of our guests today. First of all, Robbie Ansary, who is the Northeast District Customer Service Manager of TVA and helps us on a day-to-day basis to serve our customers on just about every program we do with TVA. Secondly is Christy Cagle Brooks, who is our District Program Manager for Energy Utilization and Marketing and is our local go-to person on many environmental programs that we participate in and our customers participate in. And finally, Cindy Herron, who is TVA's Vice President of Energy Right and Renewable Solutions and oversees the division that works with local power companies throughout the valley to design and deliver energy efficiency programs for our customers. And Cindy has a special presentation she'd like to make to the board today. Cindy.
CEO Roach, Chairman Thompson, and members of the board. It's my honor and privilege to be here today on behalf of TVA and to present you with a Top Performer Award in our Energy Right Solutions programs. Those programs are what Ed talked about: energy efficiency, demand response, and renewable programs. In the Valley, we've had very good success with these programs, but it is only because local power companies like KUB are willing to offer these programs to your consumers and to provide excellent staff to work with those consumers to make these products successful. I've had the honor and privilege of doing several of these, and I can tell you that I have not recognized one local power company for this many Top Performer Awards. So I'm going to read them just to be sure I don't miss one. Self-audit, in-home energy evaluation, the very top performer in all the Valley in heat pumps, manufactured homes, Energy Right Solutions for business, Green Power Switch, and the very top performer for green power providers. These programs mean that the Valley rate consumers save about $1 million a year in avoided fuel and purchase power cost. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership. I greatly appreciate the staff you provide to us to work with, because these programs are only successful because of you. So I thank you today for letting us be here. We have an award that we want to present to Chairman Thompson on behalf of KUB to say thank you.
Well, on behalf of KUB, we want to thank you for giving it to us. It's a great privilege. It's a win-win situation for our customers, and we love that we were able to partner with you. I think they should come around.
Robin, you and Christy? No work. That's okay. They work day to day with the staff. So.
I always like to hug. I'm sorry. I'm a hugger. Okay.
Kelly, can we get one of Ed in?
Thank you.
So we can have it for our newsletter?
I'll brag her again. I know you can do that. Don't be surprised next time I see you, I kiss you. I'll do that too.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, but Eddie Black can do it on top. We want to give you an update on our Rounded Up program.
Commissioners, what I'd like to do today is just briefly summarize the activities of the last 5 months as we prepare to roll out the Rounded Up program. This will include the implementation of our communication strategy, monitoring our customer response to it, and actually planning to roll out the Rounded Up bills starting next month. First, a little bit of background. As you remember, the concept of the Rounded Up program came as a result of the City of Knoxville's IBM Smarter Cities grant, where they suggested that KUB should consider taking a lead in this to provide funding for residential home weatherization in the greater Knoxville area. Once we received this suggestion, we studied it in depth. We benchmarked other utilities that had such a program and got comfortable with an approach that would work at KUB. We also sought and received broad support with this effort from both the city and the county mayors, as well as CAC, who's going to be playing a vital role in administering the program. We brought this to the board last November, and you all approved that. And with that, we launched our communication initiative. There were several key messages that we wanted to get out. First of all, that this is a combined effort of the city, KUB, and CAC to work together on this. We also wanted to convey to our customers that this is going to be an easy way for them to use their extra change each month to help both low-income families and the environment in this area. We also want to talk about this is going to be an opt-out program. Everyone will be enrolled in the program unless they have opted out in advance, but they can opt out at any time once the program begins. We also wanted to tell them, this is going to be not an expensive effort. Their contributions each month can range from a penny to 99 cents, but 50 cents will be the average, or about $6 per year. And finally, weatherization is a long-term solution to an ongoing problem. The key finding of the IBM Smarter Cities report was that in the Knoxville area, over $5 million a year is paid in emergency energy assistance to low-income families. And most of that goes to repeat customers. The root cause of it is energy inefficient homes that these folks live in. And so weatherizing them will break that cycle of dependence on emergency energy assistance. We launched the communication effort a week after the board meeting when it was accepted. We had a media event at CAC. Mr. Anderson represented the board. Mr. Roach represented KUB staff on this and were speakers. Also, Mayor O'Hara spoke. Mayor Burgett had a conflict and was unable to speak at the event, but did show up later on and had an opportunity to talk to the media and express his support for the program. Also representing CAC was Executive Director Barbara Kelly and Mrs. Bernoya Jones, who is a recipient of the CAC weatherization program. And she provided a really compelling testimony about how important the program has been to her. For years and years, CAC has offered this program, and it's actually an award-winning program. They received over $6 million in federal stimulus funds, and with that, weatherized over 1,500 homes. Unfortunately, federal funding has dried up at this time, which highlights the need for a program like Roundup to provide funding for that. They currently have a waiting list of 919 homes. So this funding will be able to go into effect immediately. We received good media coverage from this. Several stories appeared on TV and in the paper, and so we started to get the word out like that. But we also wanted to notify our customers directly. And we did this through several means, ranging from bill messages to stories in the paper. And what we were able to take advantage of is the research that we did with the customer focus groups and the customer surveys, which conveyed to us the best way to communicate these things to our customers. Beginning in November, right after the board approved it, we started putting something on our website talking about that the Roundup program was coming in May. In January, we started putting a message on all the bills, and so those have shown up on the January through April bills. We also put it on the front page of our customer newsletter ever since January. So we've promoted that heavily. We've also put stories in the paper, like this one right here, and posters in our payment centers talking about the Roundup program. One key thing, in each one of these messages, we talk about what to do if you don't want to participate. There's a section in each one of these things. This is a very important feature and takes advantage of another thing that we learned from our customer focus groups. We were told by our customers that there may be some resistance to automatically being enrolled in this program. Unfortunately, the only alternative is called an opt-in program, where customers voluntarily sign up for the program. Unfortunately, our research showed that participation in these opt-in programs is notoriously low, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5%. Whereas an opt-out program, the participation rates range from 50 to 85%. So we wanted to be able to do the opt-out approach, but we wanted to take some steps to mitigate that risk of potential customer dissatisfaction. We did that in a number of ways. First of all, by highlighting that this is a voluntary program. customers can opt out at any time, and we try to make it easy for them to do that, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more on the next slide. That third bullet, though, is the real key, the thing that we learned during the customer focus groups. We're doing something that no other utility with a Roundup program has ever done, and that's give the customers an extended opportunity to opt out of the program before it even begins. Ever since November, we've been able to take opt-out requests over the phone, and we have continued that through April. And then, of course, once the program begins, they can opt out then as well, but they'll also get a refund for anything that they've contributed to the program after the program begins. I talked about the different ways we try to make it easy for the customers to do that. We tried to identify all of the ways we contact our customers and provide an opt-out method for each of those ways. And you can see those listed up above. Beginning in January, we put it on the back of the bill, and so it's as easy as just checking the no box if you don't want to participate. So what's our response been? So far we've had almost 13,000 that have elected to opt out. And you can see it's been remarkably consistent in December through March, and this is April as of Tuesday, so April looks like it might be trending a little more on the high side, but and November there, that's just a week worth of November because we made the announcement in November 25th, so there was a wave of opt-outs in late November. We have no doubt that once people start seeing this on their bills, there'll be probably another wave of opt-outs in May and June. What that will be, I have no way to predict. On the IBM Smarter Cities report, they said that if half of the KUB customers participate in the program, that will raise $600,000 a year for the weatherization program. Cleveland Utilities, just to the south of us, implemented one of these programs about a year and a half ago. Their participation rate is 85%. If we had an 85% participation rate, that would be over $1 million a year for a weatherization program. So we'll definitely keep you posted on the participation rates as we move forward. We had a number of KUB employees that have volunteered to round up their bills over the last several months. This gave us an opportunity to test out all of our calculations and all the procedures related to the roundup bill. This is a mock-up of the bill that all KUB customers that haven't previously opted out will be seeing starting in early May. As you can see, this customer's normal bill would have been $65.83. It was rounded up to $66, and the rounded up contribution will always be shown as a separate line item, so they can see exactly what their rounded up contribution is on a monthly basis. As far as remaining steps, well, most of the work has been done, so we'll begin mailing out those rounded up bills. We'll start actually mailing them out May 2nd, and we'll at the end of every month, we'll send 100% of our customer contributions to CAC so they can begin using it for their weatherization assistance program. We will continue educating customers on this program and also continue to respond to the opt-out requests we receive after the program has begun. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Eddie, are we showing with new customers coming on board, are we tracking how are they responding to the program for maybe just moving into the area? Are they getting involved in it or they're not?
I don't have numbers on that, but we do have a script that our customer service representatives go through, making them aware of the program and giving them the opportunity to have the knowledge about it and to sign up for that program if they so desire.
If you opt out, are you still eligible for weatherization help?
Yes, you are. Yes. Depending on your participation in that program, on the roundup program.
Eddie, will your bill show every month the year-to-date contributions or anything of that nature?
It won't show the year-to-date or the cumulative contributions, but at the end of the year, you will get a line item statement that you can use for tax deduction.
Okay.
All $11.88.
Every little bit helps.
You add more to that?
Yes.
So there is that wouldn't be Project Help, right? That they could actually choose to opt in more money. Can they choose to do that, add or go toward that?
If they call in and make a request,
They
that
can do
they
it.
can do
Okay.
it.
more questions? Thank you, Eddie. Is there any more business or comments from the commissioner? Any visitors here?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I wasn't planning to say anything, but, Louise Cornflow with.
You can come up to the front and tell us your name and address and kind of what you're here for, and we have a.
I'm just here to listen.
Oh, okay.
This is such a great program, Louise Cornflow with Climate Knoxville, and really do appreciate, the KUB board moving ahead with this Rounded Up program. There's really such a great need, and what you are actually doing is you're making more housing affordable. So you're increasing the affordability of housing in Knoxville, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with affordable housing, but it's unaffordable housing is when 30% of your budget has to go towards housing. And some folks spend 70% of their budget on energy. So any way that you're able to decrease the energy consumption of folks, you are benefiting this community enormously and providing for its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? The meeting is adjourned